welcome again to this lesson 2 of Ped430, that is design and production of learning materials. There is another lesson, and on this lesson we're going to look into the definition of primary education and primary education within the context of national policy on education in Nigeria, and be able to see and characteristic of primary school children. My name is Dr. Ayodeji Badmos, your facilitator. You are welcome. Let's go to the class. You are welcome to the class. Once again, my name is Dr. Ayodeji Muidin, and the course title is Design and Production of Learning Materials for Primary School, which is Ped430. Today, we're going to talk about primary education and the primary education within the context. We'll be having 3 objectives, and number 1 is define primary education. We are going to identify primary education within the context of national policy on education. Then we also examine the characteristics of primary school children. Now let's take it one after the other. Before we even go to what is primary education, what is education? We're all familiar with the word. Education is the process of, people will say, acquiring knowledge, all kind of things like that. But we have so many definitions of education. Education is the process of appropriate developing the individual learners physically, morally, and intellectually. This is John Locke definition. We still have another definition, which is education globally. Education globally referred to as liberating force, which with moral and spiritual dimensions, as well as contributor to social and economic development. In so many ways at which education have been defined. Education have been defined in sociological way, psychological way, philosophical way. In fact, there are so many ways. Education have been defined as a process of developing child cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domain in order for the child to be useful to himself and the society. Now, what about primary education? Primary education, this is a type of education where programs are typically designed to provide fundamental skill in reading, writing, and mathematics, and to establish solid foundation for learning. These are referred to as basic education. These are referred to as first education that a child can have before even go to higher institution or secondary education. That is why in some country they call it elementary education. This primary education also categorized into 3. We have kindergarten, we have elementary school, and we have primary school. Like in Nigeria context, like in national policy on education, primary education is the education given to children aged 6 to 12 years. That is primary education. We have students, people in the primary education now that below the age. Definitely, we believe that they belong to elementary school. They belong to basic school, basic education. That is the kindergarten education. But on the paper, on the national policy (NPE), it is stated that this primary education is for the age 6 to 12 years children. So that is in Nigeria, and that is what is there now. So people enter the primary school at the age of 6 years in Nigeria and spend 6 years before transiting to junior secondary school when they are about 12 years. So in those 6 years, the children are to be prepared for the formal education system, and these are being practiced right from time before the level of education changing. So 634 was the educational system, and that 6 stands for primary education. So the one that we are using now, that is 934. The 9 stands for basic education, because education is being extended to 9 years. The 6 within the 9 is for primary education, where the remaining 3 is for JSS 1 to JSS 3. Now, before we continue to another lesson, we can have 2 minutes to answer this question, these class activities. In your own field, how do you describe the concept primary education? Thank you. You are welcome back to the class. Now, let us talk about objectives of primary education in NPE, that is National Policy on Education. What are the objectives? The objectives stated that students at this level should be able to inculcate permanent numeracy and the ability to communicate effectively. They also believe that lay a sound basis for scientific, critical, and reflective thinking, and to promote patriotism, fairness, understanding, and national unity, and to instill social moral norms and values in the child. Then to develop in the child the ability to adapt to the changing environment. And lastly, to provide opportunity for the child to develop life manipulative skill that will enable the child functions effectively in the society within the limit of the child capability. So these are the objectives in the National Policy on Education for primary education. And to achieve this objective, primary education have been made compulsory. It have been made compulsory and it's free. And it is made compulsory, free, and universal, and qualitative. So in Nigeria, throughout Nigeria, primary education is free and it is compulsory. That is why they call it basic education. Whatever might be in the future that a student can become. So primary education is compulsory. And to achieve all this, the curriculum in the primary education have some certain subjects which are particularly attached to that level of education. Like we have English study, we have one Nigerian language to be taught between primary 1 to 3. Like if a child is in Yoruba land, they should speak Yoruba from primary 1 to primary 3 for better understanding. And then the subject at this category, that is for primary 1 to primary 3, the child should cover English study, one Nigerian language, mathematics, basic science, and tech. This basic and tech, they refer to basic science, basic technology, information technology, and physical and net education. So among other the subjects that can be offered for the child in this level, we have religion and natural values. Then as well we have cultural and creative arts, and then we have options of Arabics, and some students maybe in the north, that one is common, that over Arabic at that level. So for age of primary 1 to 3, they have all these subjects. But primary 4 to 6, we have additional subject that attached to it, like a pre-vocational study. And this pre-vocational study, it has two subjects, like home economics and agriculture. So, and French language also over at this primary 4 to 6. Now, what are the ability expected from primary school leavers? Now, one, they believe that at the end of the primary school leaving, the children at that category is able to think creatively. That is, the ability to initiate an idea, to contribute in the society, to develop it and present it logically to order to understand and appreciate. So if at all a child cannot continue education, but he will be able to contribute meaningfully. He will be able to think and think reasonably in any environment that he finds himself. So that is very important. And then another expectation from any child from primary school leaver is that he's able to solve problems. That is, and it is the ability to apply past knowledge, apply skill and experience to a particular situation and circumstances. So these are the things that are very important. So what's a child of a primary school older to be able to solve problems? Not only that will be I mean, not all the time it has to be given instruction to do a certain thing and all that. Is able to solve the problem whenever the problem arises. And the third one is able to reason abstractly, which means that attaining the higher forms of learning capability. And this is referred to as anywhere we can have additional knowledge or find ourselves in a place of acquiring knowledge, with a primary school level should be able to also have the ability to contribute and have additional knowledge. And this is the ability to read and write. Once he can read and write, there won't be any problem in wherever he finds himself. And to analyze these things that are given to me, how will I do it, and what is it all about? He's able to analyze, synthesize, bring it the idea together, evaluate how you see it, and appreciate. So these are the things that very, very important, which is expected, the ability that are expected from primary school level, able to think creatively, to solve problems, and reason abstractly. This is very, very important. Now, what are the characteristics of primary school children? Characteristics of primary school children. Primary school children are heterogeneous in nature. Heterogeneous means that they are of different types, not homogeneous. Heterogeneous, they are different type, different character, different idea, different background. They are not one entity. They are different categories of people in nature. So that is why it's important as a teacher in the school, as an administrator, we need to identify a particular student differences. Is very, very important in order to achieve the stated objective. Now, primary school children have come from various locations. Some are from the village in the rural environment. Some are from urban. Some are from city. Some are from family, wealthy family. Some are from poor family, and lot of things like that. So some other are from the big town in the urban environment. Still other are in the area that cannot definitely be described as rural or urban. Example are the nomadic children and those of the migrant fishermen. So these are very, very important, and all of them will find themselves in the school. So how do we cope? How do we identify them? They are very, very important. But there are two factors that identify to have influenced human nature. Not human nature, particularly primary school children, that we can identify with them. Now, the first one and the second one, the two are innate and environmental factors. The innate factors and environmental factors. The innate factors, these are the factors that are within the individual, that happen within the individual. That individual is the one that exhibits these particular factors that influence individual. Let's take it one after the other. The first one is physical appearance of an individual. Physical appearance. A particular student, once they enter into the class, even if he join the class maybe at a primary 2, and the other student can see that, why, look at him, look at how it look like, look at the way, look at the size, look at the hair, look at this. They are talking about the appearance. So definitely it will definitely affect the child performance in the class, the child attitude and the child behavior in the class. So very, very important, and these are the things that also occur that as a teacher we need to take cognizance of it. The second one is the gender, whether boys or girls. If it's gender, very, very important. If a boy finds himself in the midst of the girls in the class, and the boys are many in the class, definitely it also affect the difference or individual difference in the class. Then also the display of strength and courage. It happens, and it is common with the most, not only with most students, not to have courage to express themselves, to ask questions, to express whatever might be their problem in the classroom. So to have that courage, it happens, and it affects their ability and performance in the class. Then also we have temperament and mood. Most of the time, if a child is not good in this area, it affect them. Always in the bad mood, always the attitude not encouraged, not welcome by the colleagues in the classroom. Whenever there is any small issue, it spark up and disturb the student in the class. So these also contribute to the factors, any factors that influence individual different. Another one is intelligence and ability. It very important. Is one of the things that a teacher, a good teacher will look into in every student in the classroom, so that he will be able to achieve the stated objective and to have good performance within the teacher and between the teacher and the student. So intelligence and ability, we as a teacher we should able to identify this with which students, well, which children that are belong to the brilliant class, average class, and below the average, the dullard one, the intelligent student. We should be able to identify, so that we like to help them out. Now, what about the environmental factors? Environmental factors, they are the factors that experience from outside, experience within outside the individual, not really happen by the individual, by the student, but happen within his environment. Number one is culture and ethic orientation. In most cases, where the background of where individual comes from might not in line with what is teaching, or what is taken in the classroom, which might put the student off from the understanding of the study. So another one is language spoken. Like now, I'm a Yoruba man. If I'm in a class, and in a class where most of the students can speak English very well, and I cannot speak very well or understand English very well, it will definitely affect me. And the teacher that is teaching do not take cognizance of what is happening to me to help me out in this regard. It will definitely affect the student with language. Now, another one is parental socio-economic background. There are some background, but there are some parents that they are well exposed, they also educated, and they know what is the need of the child at any particular time. We have some parents that they are not well informed. Only what they after is that the child is going to the school, and this thing is also influence individual difference, and affect the child in the school. As a teacher, we need to know all this by asking questions, by at least moving very close to our students in the class. Now, another one is parental child rearing practices. So this one also affect the papers, the student in the class. We have some children that come from a good family, like the mother and the father are living together. So both of them are monitoring the child performance, child behavior in the school. But we still have some that come from single parents. Only the mother that is taking care of the child, only the father that is taking care of the child. Even there are some that come from orphanage home. Only we have some. There are a lot of child rearing practices that in the society nowadays. So these are the things also. This one also contributes to individual difference. Another one is type of community. The type of community that we find the child find himself also affect student performance or student behavior attitude in the class, and also contribute to individual differences. If the community is a child where a lot of miscreants, a lot of talks are operating, what do you expect in the classroom from that children to be doing? So, but if a child comes from a decent community, a community that's well known for when known with discipline, when known with good behavior, definitely it really help or affect the child in the class, and it's a factor that also contributes to the individual difference. Another one is type of school and the location where the school is situated. So let's examine the school in our environment. Let's look at them. We have some school that is a mixed school in the sense that men and female are there. We have school that's only girls. We have school that only boys. We have the school where it's located is in the midst of the market, that students at times go sneak out of the school and buy something out. So these are the things. We have some schools that also located in the motor garage. What do you expect from there? So it will definitely affect the individual differences and student performance. Then the peer group influences. Peer groups also contribute to the individual differences. If a child have a good peer, definitely it will affect the child positively, where they can come together, read together, discuss together, deliberate together, answer questions together, so many things. But if the student, there's no way we can avoid this or stopping a child having peer in the school, no. But we should monitor which kind of group you join. So that is why it's important as a teacher that we monitor them, and as a parent too, it's very important that we know who our children and the child are moving around with. So this also contributes to individual differences. Teacher inter and intra relationship. As a teacher too, we have a lot of work, and our attitude also contribute to individuals differences among the children in the class. If you are a teacher that in your way of doing things, the intrapersonal character or intrapersonality among the child, among the teacher personality also affect. If you are a type of teacher that when you enter into the class, you enter with a firm face, you enter with shouting, you enter that what you are doing will scare the student away. Definitely, how do you want them to acquire the knowledge? How do you want them to believe what you are saying? So this is very important. There are some attitude which is intra relationship, that you can welcome the child very well. You can take them as your friend, ask so many questions, give them so many things that are not official, but you as a teacher, that you deem it will at least motivate the children towards the learning and or to achieve this objective that we are saying. So these are the things. You can go out, bring something for them, bring instructional material to the class, tell story, appreciate them wherever they answer very well. These are the things that we can do positively, and our personality as a teacher also contribute affect individual differences. Now the last one, which is available learning materials. Even if a child is dull and is write off, that cannot even get anything, we can assist the child with relevant instruction material. Presenting instruction materials is a things that make learning more effective, make learning more permanent, make learning more immediate, save the time of the child, save the time of the teacher. It help in thinking faculty of the child. There are so many, and it definitely affect individual difference in the class. All these attributes that we have mentioned, both innate and environmental factors, instruction materials, if they are well utilized, they can handle and solve this problem and adjust the child individual difference very well. Now let's do the second class activities. Let us have 2 minutes to answer this question. Differentiate between innate and environmental factors that influence individual differences. Thank you so much. We've learned today the primary education within the contours of National Policy on Education and the objectives and those factors that affect or contribute to individual differences in the primary school. Thank you, and God bless you.